everyone to another random character generator. This is the segment where we make a random character together. I'm Greg Tito and Brandy Camel. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing lovely. How are you, Greg?
Very excited to jump in and press the random character button.
Yes.
As everyone should know, we do this and try to come up with a character background story around what the generator puts out. It's a nice little fun oh my goodness, I don't even know how to pronounce this name.
Wow. I'll give it a try. Yalnil? Yalnil.
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 The lineage here is Swift Stride.
Stride.
And I don't know what that is.
Neither do I. That one's new to me.
Is that, I feel like it might be a
it's a type of shifter?
A type of shifter, right?
Yep, it's a type of shifter.
Which means it might be from a campaign. What is the beast with that?
I'm so
Where is this
unfamiliar
from?
with this.
Who made this?
This one's new to me.
The beast within.
Eberron. This is Eberron.
This is Eberron. Oh, this makes total sense now. I was like, it's got to be a shifter.
Yep.
All right. So this is a swift stride. So that means they're predatory and feline. But a swift stride could also be a cunning rat who darts through the shadows. Okay.
Right.
And blood hunter is the class.
Okay. Gotcha. That's really interesting. So we've got kind of a mishmash of Eberron and Exandria going on here.
Yeah. Decent stats. I'm not sure what is best for the blood hunter, but having a high dex is always a good thing.
I believe Constitution's one of the things they want because a lot of the abilities that they use, they tend to sacrifice hit points for. So a good con is definitely a pro here.
That makes a lot of sense. So with a +2 modifier to con, pretty good intelligence with a +2. Another low wisdom character with a -2.
Yep.
But decent charisma. So it looks like their dump stat was wisdom.
Yeah. Dump stat was wisdom. Overall, though, like actually a really high stat spread across the board. So
it really is. Yeah. Better than the standard array for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And skills trained, acrobatics with a +5. That's pretty good.
Okay.
They know Arcana.
All right. Well educated in the arcane.
Trained in insight, but with the -2 modifier there, they're just up to 0.
Yep. Comes a wash.
And they know about religion as well as how to survive, although that also is a 0 there with a trained survival skill.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple of skills that I think that they've tried to overcome with training, right? Like it's things they're not naturally good at, but have spent some time learning to be better at.
Absolutely. And Crimson Right looks like that's from the Blood Hunter.
Yes, yep.
And shifting, of course. So, I mean, I guess the first question we should ask is, what do they shift into? Is it always the same creature?
That's a great question. I know that with Swift Strides, they're quick, they're graceful. I'm sure that's where that kind of bump in dexterity comes from. And I don't know what's a fun, quick, graceful creature. I feel like cats and rats are pretty. Sort of the stereotype that you jump to, but are there any other kind of like quick, graceful creatures that you would consider for this?
Maybe like a cheetah or a gazelle.
Ooh, I like the gazelle idea. That's interesting.
Right? And especially with the trained acrobatics, like they're able to kind of hop quickly.
Yeah, let's run with that. I like that idea. That's really cool.
All right. Might not gel with the blood hunter, because usually you assume that's a predator. But maybe that's the interesting hook in this character is that they're they're a prey species, or they shift into a prey species, but when they shift into a more humanoid form, that's where their animalistic tendencies come out and want to attack.
You could almost play with some horror tropes in that regard, right? Like the sort of hidden prey with a deadly undertone.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit more, because the being trained in a religion means that they understand the divine as well as
the arcane.
right. So are they a God-fearing character? Hjalnil? Are they, do they follow a specific blood god, and maybe that's where they get some of these abilities from? Since this is a combination of both Eberron and Exandria, I think this is very firmly a homebrew character.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I could see this being somebody who's just decided to take the Blood Hunter class and kind of mesh it into the Eberron world. I think that's probably where I'd be leaning. I'll admit I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage because I don't know Eberron as well. So
Right, me neither. But I like the idea of being able to take things from two different sources and create a character that would do well in any prime material plane. Yeah. All right. So maybe so what do you think about the religion? Do you think they just know about religion, or do you think that they are a devotee of a specific deity? And we don't need to choose that deity. We just need to know that they follow somebody.
I mean, I kind of like the idea. So I'm going to go on an adventure here once.
We're going with you.
Okay. So, a lot of the things that would kind of tend to come up, blood hunters have this theme around like self-sacrifice and, giving something of themselves to do something. And we've kind of picked, a prey style character to lean this off of, which are very commonly the type of creatures used in sacrifices. So maybe this is someone who's embraced that idea of I am the sacrifice, but I own it. Like, I'm not just sacrificing, like it could be I'm sacrificing myself to a god to do their bidding. That could be kind of cool. Literally the giving a bit of themselves to fuel this.
I like that. Here's another interesting wrinkle, which we might now struggle to figure out how it works in there. But their background is acolyte, and more specifically, the acolyte around Baldur's Gate. And
to a religious community.
So, I mean, there's one religious community that comes to mind when you discuss Baldur's Gate, which is the Dead Three, and their not good tendencies. Does Hjalnil, follow one of those gods, perhaps, or is a part of? Again, we doesn't have to necessarily be set in Baldur's Gate, but having that kind of a city like that in which the lawlessness rules and the only authority is might makes right, or one of these deities.
Yeah, I could definitely see this is a nefarious character. I could see that working for sure.
Yeah, me too.
This could almost be, this would be somebody who would be really great to put as like the leader of a cult. Right? Because this is someone who's like, no, you need to aspire to the level of devotion that I have. This is, my sacrifice fuels these powers.
So okay, so let me get the kind of shifting and the sacrifice thing that you're going with here. Are you saying that they use their shifting ability to lure other gazelle-like creatures into the mist to be sacrificed, or are they actually sacrificing their own blood?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think like I could see it being where they are leveraging their capabilities and abilities as a blood hunter to prove a point, so to speak, or to show this is the way of these things. And encouraging people to do the wrong thing because, well, if I'm doing it, well, then obviously you should do it. You can give so much more. You can aspire to this.
Yeah. Okay. this is there's certainly ways to turn this into a heroic character that you might want to play.
Oh, for sure.
In a campaign, maybe perhaps even one that tends a little bit more evil or neutral to evil. But I'm really seeing this as an adversary or an NPC that a party can meet as well.
Yeah, I think it leans that way, but I could also see this as being someone who is devoted to the idea of self-sacrifice in the stead of others. Especially if you kind of dig into like the Forgotten Realms deities with like Ilmater, who is entirely based around that idea of self-sacrifice, self-suffering, taken on for the sake of others.
I like that. Yeah. And there's so many of these, the blood maledict and blood curse of exposure that could be used to advantage in battle very easily by sacrificing what they're doing, their own hit points, as you were saying.
Yeah.
They have alchemist supplies, which is a part of the blood hunter thing. How does that play in? Do you think that they actively use that?
I think it's the kind of thing that they need to have poultices and bandages and things like that to tend to their self wounds. I think that's kind of necessary as a part of the way that the class functions. But I could, just as much see it as being built in to the idea of building things that dull the pain, or maybe crafting incense for their more nefarious religious ceremonies or things like that.
I am picking up what you're putting down there, and I'm going more deeper into the blood hunter features and traits here. They've chosen the Order of the Ghost Slayer. Oh,
interesting.
Right, as well as a fighting style of dueling. So it's a sword fighter or a rapier wielding gazelle. You have to fight.
I love it.
What do you know about the Order of the Ghost Slayer? Let me look that up and see if I can get more details.
That I don't know as much about. I mean, I can make some assumptions based on names, but I think having a little bit more context is helpful here.
It is one of the oldest of the orders.
Okay.
They get it at third, so they just turned into it. The right damage is radiant, which throws a little bit of a wrench into them being on the more evil side of things, perhaps.
I mean, radiant is kind of like thematically associated with good, but it's also thematically associated with the divine. So,
right. Maybe that's just their how it manifests. And they have a specialization with the blood maledict feature, which basically just means that their blood curses can target any creature, whether it has blood or not.
Okay.
Maybe that's due to them having to slay ghosts.
Yeah. Kind of necessary.
Yeah. Hjalnil is a... I don't have a leaning one way or the other of what gender they might identify as. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I am sort of imagining like a more graceful feminine form, but not necessarily female. Like, maybe this is somebody who is gender neutral or non-binary. I think that actually kind of fits really well.
Yeah. Maybe like a I don't know. I'm having the image of like a David Bowie or a Goblin King from Labyrinth type of thing, where even though that can be very masculine, but that type of charisma that that's not femme fatale, but I don't know.
What's the word for that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the direction you're going in. It's very ephemeral. It's very, very fae-like.
Yeah.
Which tends to be very gender neutral, to be honest.
That is true. All right. So Hjalnil more of a gender neutral character. Where did they like? I just want to create a little bit of a history or a backstory. Like, where did they learn this blood hunter side of things?
Oh, I feel like we've really tied into the divine here with this character. So maybe this is like a divine epiphany.
Oh,
So
yeah.
maybe that's where their training comes from their spirituality, comes from, either embracing meditation or dreams or things like that. And these learnings come from that.
Mm, that's cool. I just have this one, I have to picture this.
Okay.
What if they were a shifter,
Hmm.
from birth, and so they had that ability, but they were captured or perhaps intended to be sacrificed,
Hmm.
and this epiphany occurred on the altar, essentially. Like they were
Oh, that's
about to
cool.
be killed,
Hmm.
but something shifted, and they all of a sudden became the most powerful being in the room.
Man, I have this amazing visual moment that just happened for me where I see them reaching up and grabbing the sacrificial dagger with their hand
Hmm.
and fueling that cut, that blood there for their first use of Blood Hunter ability. That is such a cool, strong visual to run with.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, and then from then on, they became the leader of that cult. They
Hmm.
were the one that was calling the shots.
Yep.
Maybe they even, this could be a little bit more evil, but maybe they even took out the previous leader during that
Hmm.
moment. Because I can see that, like, oh, it's that blood hunter like type thing, and then
Yep.
turning the knife on the one that was pointing it towards them.
Hmm.
All right. I think the last thing we need is a little bit more visual and characterization thing. So what do you think they appear like?
So I'm imagining, we kind of ran with this gazelle theme. I'm imagining kind of like a tawny, brownish blonde, dirty blonde hair. Maybe reaching down to shoulder, a little bit flowy. I could see that or close cropped cut. What do you think?
I think both.
Yeah.
Like I think they shift.
Mhm. Oh,
So
yeah.
right
Fair enough.
when it suits them, they can have longer hair, and or maybe when they're more feminine presenting, and then when they're more masculine presenting, they can do the short crop very easily.
Hmm. That makes sense.
Um, and then appearance, other than coloring, what do you think of, you mentioned slender and kind of I don't know, tall and thin, I guess, when they're
Hmm.
in humanoid form to match the gazelle-like thing. What about, uh, you know, eyes? Are they close together? Big nose? What do you think?
I think they have to have kind of like the long, slender nose to kind of draw out that idea of a gazelle while it's still, mostly a human facial feature.
Hmm.
So I could definitely see that. This is definitely somebody with a lot of scars on their body, from all the, both the experiences that they've been through as well as from being a practicing blood hunter.
Yeah,
Um, so maybe they've got scars on their face, maybe they have scars on their neck. Um,
that's an interesting visual.
mhm.
What do you think about costume, general demeanor?
Well, I did pick up on this in the description of Swift Striders. They tend to be aloof or difficult to pin down physically or socially. And this idea of someone who is, I am imagining someone who's very tall and intimidating in that way.
Mm,
And yeah, probably very much feels like the one in charge, has that enigmatic charisma as you were describing earlier. Um, where people are drawn to them or drawn to follow them, but not necessarily to question or try to get to know them.
okay, I like that. I'm. This character just got a little bit closer to Hela from Thor Ragnarok,
Yeah, yeah.
especially with the horns. I guess I'm
Oh
maybe
yeah.
even.
That just kind of came in naturally, huh?
Yeah, right. I don't know. I like that. Even though I don't think gazelles have big horns, but anyway, it's that type of um, imagery. I,
Mhm.
I mean, I would follow anybody who's got a headdress that has that big huge pointy thing
It's
going
very
on.
intimidating. It's
It is
hard
very
hard
intimidating. Nice. All right. And then so they're aloof and don't necessarily give you the time of day unless you can do something to further their goals.
Yeah. I
That
think
makes
that
sense.
drives home.
How would you portray them around the table? What would you give it Brandy's voice or would you give it
Oh God, no, not my voice. I do think that you need, you do have to have that sense of commanding presence. There is very much, I am the one who is in charge in the room here, and we are going to follow my plan. So that, you need that kind of even keel but like I hate to call it's sultry underneath, but it's not about being like sexual. It's more just about being refined.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I like that for sure.
Mhm.
Okay, great. Well, we're ready for summary here. Any other ideas or things you wanted to throw out?
Oh no, I think we've got a really solid visual to this character and just kind of idea of their whole story.
Yeah. Okay, so Hjalnil is a shifter that goes towards the swift gazelle-like imagery. They were captured at a relatively early age and was set to be sacrificed in a city, not unlike Baldur's Gate, but I don't think it's the canon Baldur's Gate, but that has a lot of evil slash cult-like communities, and they were being sacrificed and had a epiphany moment connection with some divine deity that as the knife was going down for them to be killed in front of a congregation, that Hjalnil stopped the sacrifice, grabbed the knife, perhaps did sacrifice some of their own blood and turned on the cult leader, and from thenceforth became the leader of that faction. And due to that, they have a very aloof and calm slash powerful demeanor that allows them to use their skills as a blood hunter to combat all types of creatures, but the sacrifice there is their own blood, and so there is lots of scarring involved with that, as well as a I guess ability to convince others to bend to her will just by their strength of charisma. They don't necessarily identify as one gender or another, and may use their shifting ability to appear as such, as well as being able to shift into a gazelle to perhaps get to distances farther, and also use that in battle. And in general, I guess what do they dress like? What is their when they choose to wear clothes? What do they look like?
Oh man, you got that image of from Thor Ragnarok in my head now, or from Thor in my head now, and I got to put them in like the long, thin trench coat style of presentation.
I mean that's where I'm at too, and gosh darn it if they don't put on some type of headdress when they're doing ceremonies,
official cultly duties.
Exactly, it definitely has some kind of a horned animalistic feel to it, and perhaps there's even bloodstains on it as they maybe even use that during sacrifice. Who knows? So yeah, this character, Hjalnil, definitely trends towards more of an adversary or evil NPC that you can use in your game. But I know there's a lot of folks who would love to play a character like this as well, in a heroic sense, or at least a protagonist sense. Maybe not a hero, but a protagonist. So yeah, that's Hjalnil. Very exciting. I love coming together. This one had a little bit more of a story that I think we needed to workshop on, and then I love where we landed up.
Yeah. I mean, really, it speaks to the ability that you can make any of the things that this tosses your way work. You just have to do a little bit of a brain exercise to get there sometimes.
And thanks for doing that with me, Brandy. Always fun. Your insights are almost as good as Hjalnil's.
Thank you so much, Greg.
Oh wait, that's not. That's a zero. But no, I mean, We'll go with intelligence. There you go.
That's probably accurate for me.
Awesome.
I'll be
Well, we'll
honest.
leave this link in the show notes, and feel free to use Hjalmil in your games. I'd love to hear about the character itself showing up, and this is always fun. So thanks, everybody. That has been Random Character Generator.